Have I split up my family for the right reasons?
I-26 female left my fiancé 29 male after 11 years. I-26F had been with my now ex-29 on and off for 11 years. We met when I was 15,
Almost 16, and he was turning 18.
Over the years we had a lot of issues.
In the beginning his ex-girlfriend was a crazy stalker whom he was not over. Then after a few years I fell pregnant at 18 with our first child. We separated a few years after she was born as he had been talking to his ex and was being unfaithful.
After a while of his begging, I took him back. We got engaged, but thinking of that it was only really for me pushing and basically asking him to. Another year passed. I then felt the relationship had soured, so ended it and moved home.
My family tried so hard to include him and accept him, often paying for holidays for him to come on too, and he seemed so ungrateful for anything. He never thanked my family for an all-inclusive holiday for a week and presents and parties etc. He again would make comments on how he hated people and it wasn't his scene to them after they did it for him. After about 6 months from separating in 2020 his dad passed and he changed and became more of the man I wanted in my life.
We rekindled and I took him back. He changed again after he moved back in to be more of the old lazy unhelpful guy the first left before.
He could be quite nasty and say cruel things under the guise of joking, and then it began to extend to our firstborn.
I for some reason thought it would be great to have another child and we welcomed our second baby in 2022. I work as well as him and yet I had sole responsibility of looking after our children, organizing our life, running the home and to an extent looking after him by washing his clothes, cooking, cleaning for him etc. He earned significantly more than me, yet paid minimal to our life, including nothing towards rent and bills, often leaving me in really bad financial situations. He would promise me money and then say he didn't have it. He was very lazy and would leave bath and bedtime entirely to me.
He would sleep through our youngest waking each night and never offer assistance.
He would rarely offer help cooking or getting the girls ready in the morning. He would take our eldest to school once she was ready.
But I never had any time to myself and was genuinely so fatigued every day. He always moan we were not intimate even though I was completely exhausted from working and then doing everything by myself while he sat and gamed, and he also never attempted to be intimate with me.
I left him a month ago and made it clear that this is the end for our children's well-being too.
It is not fair now our eldest is aware of things to be springing back and forward, it would mess her up. He seemed overjoyed at first despite being angry with me, stating how he would have all this money and time to go to the gym etc. He now lives at his mum's round the corner.
I've been fairly depressed for years, been on medication and in therapy. I feel therapy has helped me reach this point where I feel I deserve better. I know I'm not perfect. I have more than enough flaws. I'm highly emotional and can get moody at times. I take on too much, such as rescuing animals, and then feel overwhelmed, but I always try my best. He has said I never showed him love and affection.
This is true to an extent towards the end, as I resented him so much. My own father is an incredible role model, and is the perfect dad and husband. He worships my mum, and has always been a wonderful dad, spending time with me and my siblings, providing for us but being a great equal partner to my mum.
I look up to him so much and he's created a great life for us and in turn my children too. I compare my ex to him a lot and can't understand why he won't be like that.
Since he's moved out, life has been calmer. He's spent more quality time with our children and has been making a huge effort with them.
But also he's been very flirtatious and trying to get me to bed. I've refused his advanced and now he's really depressed.
He's always loved me and this has come out of nowhere despite me asking for years for more support in every way.
When I left him I told him I no longer love him. It's not entirely true, but he wouldn't accept me saying it was over. I do love him and always will, but I feel it just wasn't working. He's making me feel so sorry for him and feel that maybe I'm just a bit crazy, like maybe my mental health is the reason for this. Are all men like this, or is there a chance one day when I'm ready I'll find someone better for me? I want a better role model for my daughters to see what love is supposed to look like. Equal partnership.
But realistically, is there such a thing? Have I split up my family for nothing? It sounds like you are. We're miserable and he was the main cause of it. Seems like a pretty good reason to me.
Unhappy parents make unhappy children.
You have done what's best for you and your family.
You managed to break a very toxic relationship and set your own kids up for a better future.
You should be proud of what you accomplished already. Please never take that man back, and do not worry, you will find a partner that will treat you with the love and respect you deserve all the time, not just when they're trying to win you back. He uses this cycle to get you back. You didn't break up for no reason.
You broke up because he was kind of useless and forced all the labor on you. You deserve a partner.
Someone who shows up physically, emotionally, mentally.
Not this yo-yo bullshit. And this man better be paying child support before he's worried about the damn gym.
Tell him if he keeps trying to sleep with you, you will have no choice but to use a third party to stop him from seeing you. Tell him you're not that desperate for sex to sleep with him, and if you were there, a long list before you think about letting him touch you again.
So don't hold his breath. I know it sounds harsh, but sometimes these idiots need their ego hurting before they realize you're not there to be fucked whenever they see fit. Please don't be drawn into his manipulation. Move on, get a divorce if you are married. He brought nothing to your relationship except sorrow. He left you financially responsible without taking any responsibility himself. Why would you doubt yourself? You said you left before but always got sucked up in his manipulation. Stay strong and move on without him. Your kids will be better off with stability. He may be trying to baby trap with you another child.
As he is probably discovering, his life isn't as fabulous as he thought it would be.
If it was, why isn't he at the gym hitting on the girls he claimed would be all over him? His mom is probably constantly telling him that messed up.
Some of his boys may have even asked him if they can date you now.
You did what you needed to do, what was best for your mental health. Which means you will be the best possible mom. My 27F husband, 31M, broke my trust after I had our baby. What do I do now? I met my 27F husband, 31M, in 2021, and we got married really soon after. We then got pregnant really soon after that, and moved to the other side of the world for his work. I had our daughter, 1.5F, in January last year, and admittedly, I got a bit fat. It was standard post-pregnancy weight, and my confidence took an absolute beating. For context, I was about 65 kilograms when I got pregnant, and the day I was induced I weighed 100 kilograms, so I got big. I lost 25 kilos, and then my husband generously paid for my liposuction and breast implant replacement. I started to feel better, but still not myself, as I was still 10 kilos up and had no time for the gym, as husband works long hours and goes to the gym after work. He was pretty distant after our daughter was about 4 months old. He would be on his phone constantly and would lock himself in the bathroom all the time under the guise of dropping the kids off. But it seemed he was literally dropping the kids off because he would spend the bathroom time having special alone time to random women on Instagram and reading his old sexts with other women. This I found out much later. We were a bit like roommates, but we did still have sex, but it wasn't like it was pre-baby, and I put it down to both of us being tired and me not looking as good as I used to. I would still try though. I'd get rejected a lot, but again didn't think much of it. One day he said he wanted to try a threesome because I had had some before we met. Soon that was his main discussion with me, especially when it came to sex. I felt insecure, but again, put it down to my own insecurity. One day in December, he went out with his friends to go day drinking. He left the house at 11:30 a.m. and then I barely heard from him until 9 a.m. the next day, where he messaged me saying he woke up in a random stairwell on the other side of our city. In the past he would get drunk but always came home, which didn't bother me except for when he sometimes was mean to me when he was in the borderline pass-out phase of drunkenness. I finally was suspicious enough and angry enough that I decided I would raise it, and if I didn't get an answer on what he was doing, I decided I'd check his phone. He came home at 10:30 a.m. and after a while, we sat on opposite couches and I said to him that I was feeling a bit taken advantage of because I always stayed home looking after the baby in the house and the cooking and the laundry, etc. But as I said this, he could barely look at me because he was busy messaging on his phone. My parents had just flown in from our home country and came by our house, so I took the opportunity while he was charging his phone in our room and talking to my parents in the kitchen, I would check his phone. Reader, I found a FK load. He was screenshotting Instaskanks to jerk off to. He was watching PRN like no tomorrow, and the pièce de resistance, he was SXT-ing other women. He ran in and I was shaking. He said, "Have you been in my phone?" And I said yes. My parents didn't know what happened, but I asked them to take our daughter out for lunch for a while. They did and I broke down.
My husband said he was only messaging this chick to set up a threesome for when we went back to our home country in 10 months' time. Bear in mind I don't know this woman. Then he hits me with the big one. He had been sharing naked photos of both of us, implying that this was something that I wanted.
To make a long story short, I didn't leave him. I realized that I love him more than I hate his dreadful behavior.
But now, 6 months later, my confidence is destroyed. He hates when this is brought up as he thinks it's because I don't trust him or that I can't or won't forgive him. He is trying to be better, and as far as I can see he is being better, but I just don't know what I should do to feel like myself again.
What do I do to make this not break my heart anymore?
How can I let him know that I forgive him but the pain isn't going away yet? Do you not worry that you are giving him the green light to treat you disrespectfully and flirt, engage with other women? Unless there are some consequences of his actions, he will simply do a better job at hiding his gross behavior.
He thinks it's because I don't trust him. Well, duh.
How could you trust anything he says?
He has to do the work to earn your trust back, which includes total transparency, open phone policy, communication, honesty and respect. Which means he should be supportive and empathetic towards you when you bring it up, not angry. He did this, he needs to take responsibility. Trust is built in drops and lost in buckets. Honestly, why would you do this to yourself?
Get out.
He just uses you.
Do you not have any kind of self-respect to understand that this is not okay?
You're basically his servant, taking care of your kid and taking care of the house. What would you tell your daughter to do if her future husband treated her like this? He's not interested in being a dedicated husband that is committed to the relationship.
If you love him more than this behavior, then accept it's an open relationship. He's going to mess around.
You either can happily accept that reality or you have to leave him. Lol, he is just going to hide it better. There is no way I would stay in a relationship like this. I, 23F, cried when I was intimate for the first time with my boyfriend, 23M. Is that normal? I've been in a relationship with my boyfriend for almost 2 months now. I'm very selective about who I'm intimate with, as I feel that I need to love the person to engage in that way. The thing is, I've only ever been with one person my entire life, my ex, 22M, whom I was with for almost 3 years. He was my first in everything. We broke up 7 months ago, and I felt it was time to move on.
Fast forward to meeting my current boyfriend. Everything has been great, he's a good guy, and I genuinely like him.
Last night, we were intimate.
We didn't have sex because I don't feel ready for that yet. However, during the intimate moment, everything was going well until it ended. Suddenly, thoughts of my ex came flooding back, and I ended up crying because I felt guilty.
I never expected to feel like this with someone else. Now, I'm questioning everything, whether it's fair to continue this relationship if I feel this way after being intimate.
By the way, my boyfriend didn't realize I was crying. Any thoughts on what this could mean? Pretty clear you're not over your ex then. You need to work on yourself by yourself before you drag someone else into it.
You aren't over your ex, honey.
Take time to heal, and focus on yourself for now.
Is it normal to cry about your ex while being intimate with a new partner? No.
Why do you feel guilty about moving on?
Do you mean you regret leaving your ex? And TBQH, that is not an uncommon reaction when you're moving on from your first, only partner.
But it's really important to move on from your ex mentally, or you won't have a good new relationship.
Spare your current boyfriend by breaking up and taking time to actually get over your ex. 7 months isn't long enough. Took me 3 years after a breakup for a relationship of 3 years to start dating again seriously.
I am a 24M with a 27F girlfriend of 4 years. Am I insensitive? My partner 27F and myself 24M have been together for about 4 years. We recently moved into an apartment together about 6 months ago, and things between us have never been better.
However, financially it has been rough for the most part.
My girlfriend is a very picky person.
She dislikes anything that didn't come out of the ground.
And is too stubborn to eat anything else if she's not in the mood for it. We just got into bed after getting off work, and she tells me that she hadn't eaten anything today.
So I offered what we had available, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, or a Knoll's chicken and rice packet.
Her response to me was, "I just want real food," when I asked her what that meant. She continued to tell me, "I don't know, something that's just not starch or sugar. She has now made the decision to go to bed with no food and cry herself to sleep while I hold her, for comfort. Am I not being sensitive enough?
Or is she just being ungrateful and stubborn? I honestly don't have a clue of how to go about this. I am typically very passive in situations that are out of our control because time needs to pass for
them to be resolved.
But I'm just getting angry with her behavior.
Edit. It's now the following day. She came home from work and decided that the mentioned items from last night were fine to eat for tonight.
I am now eating a 3-day-old Caesar salad she brought home and chose not to eat.
You are not insensitive, but your girlfriend has some serious issues with food.
I'm not going to suggest an ed, but it does seem to be a form of disordered eating. Plus she's putting pressure on you to help solve it, which cannot be easy. You probably need a gentle conversation about what you can provide and what is her responsibility.
You can gently encourage her to get help, but that will not be an easy conversation. She is 27 years old. It's about time she grew up and dealt with her own dietary needs. If she only wants to eat food that comes out of the ground, then she needs to buy it and cook it for herself. If she chooses not to do so, then she goes hungry.
You are not insensitive. She's behaving with all the maturity of a 3-year-old, and it's pathetic.
As for holding her for comfort, whilst she cries FCK that noise, just turn over and go to sleep.
I don't know how often this happens, but I have definitely gone to bed hungry in the past when I just couldn't bring myself to eat the few options I had in the house.
Eating real food is completely valid, and I agree I wouldn't want random junk, but like, why so at your responsibility?
If I want real food, I cook it myself? Can she not make her own food? She's a grown woman. She is perfectly capable of getting herself whatever she wants to eat and paying for it. This is manipulation. Stop enabling her. Stop comforting her.
Get up and walk out. And if she won't stop? Bro, break up. That's so tiresome. You can't make a future with someone like that.